men have to talk. Men have to talk. But for us who are straight black men or straight men, we generally talk about sports, we talk about women and sex, and we talk about money. Those three things over and over again. That's a problem right there. If that's the gist of your conversation and you don't talk about anything else, and I've said this on these airways before, then you're passing that along to other people. And what we do also in the male community is we police each other. That's not a man. You need to man up, and you need to, no, man. That's really limited and dangerous. You mean, you used the term last week, knuckle dragging. That is knuckle dragging mentality. If that's all you think a man is just talking about sports, talking about sex and women, and talking about money. That's not enough.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
Among many things, Gavin Newsom has been in the streets using social media in a way that I think has been amazing. You don't have to like him, but the man has been on in his bag, and I appreciate it because it's like a respite from the nonsense, and it's effective too because it's really pissing off this Trump regime in a way that is chef's kiss. Well, today he announced that he is going to be doing something for young men. And I think as we talk about young people, I was just telling you about Jonah feeling a little uncertain about what's going to happen. We're going to need the boys and the men to get off that red pill, get off that gaming couch or the gaming chair and get in the game. We need y'all. We need y'all. So this initiative sounds like it's important. I know, Kevin, this is part of your work as well, but let's play Gavin Newsom's initiative.
But this notion of being seen and heard is profoundly important at a time when people don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. They feel increasingly isolated. They feel increasingly alone. We have an epidemic of loneliness. And so much of that is manifesting and metastasizing online in very profound and consequential ways. And last week only underscored that further. And so this is a timely initiative. We now are moving affirmatively with an executive order that we signed many months ago with a strategy, with a plan to address this issue.
Kevin, when we free the world, first of all, the title of your documentary, remind us again why that was the title. That is the title.
I mean, when I think about the word freedom in America and around the world, it's for all people. But part of the problem, I believe, in this country historically and in the world is how we define manhood. Including this MAGA phenomenon we've been talking about, all day today. Manhood being defined by ego, senseless competition, violence, things we talk about in the film, and not realizing how this puts us all in this box, just following this limited script of what it is to be a man, a man or boy. And we think it's dangerous. We think it's destructive. And I've been guilty of a lot of the behavior that we talk about in the film. And I talk about it very honestly myself in the film. There's 70 voices in the film. So I agree with Gavin Newsom that there's a crisis. And it's interesting when I reference Tom Kaine, the former Republican governor of New Jersey, our home state, he said that to me in a private conversation that he felt that there was a very serious epidemic problem with manhood in this country. He was talking about the mass shootings and other things that were happening. And so I think we have to address it because there's a lot of things one, Cameron, is girls and women are move differently, and y'all talk about things in a way that a lot of us we think to be a man is to be tough, not to talk about stuff, boys don't cry, that kind of stuff. And so that's why we decided to do the film, because when we say when we free the world, we're really talking about we need to free ourselves of what we've been taught that hasn't served us, that has not been good and healthy for us. That's really what it's about.
I think about the barbershop talk. Remember one of the first times Loree Daniel Favors was on. I remember like it was yesterday because I had never considered how men talk to one another in the barbershop and the accountability that's not there. And it never dawned on me. It almost reinforces this notion of like, if a woman would just be in her place and let me lead, as opposed to like, what is my responsibility to be lead worthy? What is my responsibility to be the kind of person people can lean on? And, there's something required of you. We're doing a rites of passage with Dr. Daniel Black, and it's so humbling when you think about all of the work that we need to do on ourselves on a regular
Hmm.
basis. You don't just turn 21 and you're an adult. You don't just start having children and you're an adult. There is constant work on yourself. You talk about reading, but there's just like examining your emotional quotient and making sure that you are responding to people in a way that's loving, especially people that you say you love.
That's right.
And I don't think we've gotten that down. And, hopefully you never stop working on yourself. But I think we have kind of thrown our hands up and have allowed boys will be boys to be kind of the catch all phrase for bad behavior. And there's no accountability, whether it's in the halls of Congress or in pulpits, or Catholic church. Like there should be accountability for
Or the White
behavior. And it's the
House.
only thing we can trust, or the White
Yeah.
House, right?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we have in the film, there's a brother named Diallo Shabazz who's brilliant. He actually was one of the folks who came up with Joy Williams in the NAACP. He's from Milwaukee. He came through an African-centered rites of passage program. But what struck me about the program, he describes it in the film, that there were men who were teaching them how to be men, but there were also women who were teaching them how to be women, to be men as well. And I think that's something that we got to think about because I was raised by a single mother, so it's actually a lie that black women or women cannot raise boys to be men. Is it hard? Yes. Do you need to have some sort of male presence? Hopefully, I did in the first 18 years of my life. That was a big hole in my life. But you can't just have any old man up in there if they're not emotionally available, if they're not expressing the totality of emotions that we have, and it's only kind of dictating the same old stuff we've heard over and over again. You need to take your rightful place in the community. You need to be the head of the household, the head of the family. I mean, no, me and my wife are co-partners. We're co-equals. We're co-everything because we're in this together. You know what I mean? But that's not what I was taught in the barbershop, not in the church, not in any of the spaces I was in. It was like, you've got to do everything. You've got to be the man. I'm like, no, I am a man. I'm very clear that I'm a man, but I'm a man in partnership with an amazing and equal woman. And I'm not threatened by who she is, not her intelligence, any of that kind of stuff, because we need each other. We support each other. We're not codependent, we're interdependent. That's the difference. And I think those are the kind of conversations we need to have. If we're talking about rites of passage programs or any of it, it's like, are we really setting males up to, really be healthy and whole human beings? Or are we still kind of perpetuating old stereotypes? That's something we got to think about as we talk about these programs, because I've been a part of a lot of manhood programs, a lot of male programs. I'm glad to see all these different initiatives that are happening. But what are we saying that is different at this point? That's the challenge that I think about. And also, it can't be rooted in sexism. It can't be rooted in the oppression of women and girls. That's unacceptable. That's absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, I was thinking about the way this country is being led by an adjudicated sex offender who
Mm,
has given coverage. He's probably going to pardon Puffy, it's given coverage to all the worst instincts of people, and it's not, we're not animals. We're human beings, and you have the ability to make different choices.
yeah,
Dr. Black was saying, even when you get in an argument with your spouse, and she could hurt your feelings, but if you say to her, in that moment, I don't want to speak to you right now because of how you made me feel. I still love you. I
that's
still
right.
honor you, but right now I don't like you very much, and how you even express your dissatisfaction with the way in which you have arguments and disagreements in a relationship, is so very important, but it also sets the table for everybody else. Like you get to establish the rules of engagement even through disagreement. And I don't think we've done a good enough job. It's like, and women do it too. If you're hurt, you shut down, and then I don't care, I don't need nobody. But that's also not the truth, because you do feel like we are not supposed to be by ourselves in this. This is not a journey supposed to be lived as a rugged individual. You're supposed to have community. And for some of us, it's a village. And that's something that I think women afford themselves, to have a village. Um, and men don't. And men need a village of elders that hold them accountable and love them. and love them in a
Yes.
way that's
And the elders have got to be willing to say, and I speak now as a so-called young, I call us young elders at this point. Like we have to always be honest. When I speak with younger people, I don't go in there like I go in there very honestly. Here's the mistakes that I made. I need you to be better than me, wiser than me, and here's how I've evolved. Tell younger people the truth. And what I got when I was a young man was a lot of older men who simply didn't tell me who it was always about accomplishments. It was always about achievement. That's cool. I'm proud of my so-called professional achievements, but tell me how to actually be a man, not just how to have a career or have a job. I need to know how to be a man. You know what I mean? And what does that mean at different points in your life? And so, I think those are the theme through When We Free the World is men have to talk. Men have to talk. But for us who are straight black men or straight men, we generally talk about sports, we talk about women and sex, and we talk about money. Those three things over and over again. That's a problem right there. If that's the gist of your conversation and you don't talk about anything else, and I've said this on these airways before, then you're passing that along to other people. And what we do also in the male community is we police each other. That's not a man. You need to man up and you need to, no, man. That's really limited and dangerous. I mean, you used the term last week, knuckle dragging. That is knuckle dragging mentality. If that's all you think a man is just talking about sports, talking about sex and women, and talking about money. That's not enough.
and why are we discouraged? Like when Asia Wilson won the WNBA championship, she and her team, the Aces,
Yeah.
Bam was there, her
Yeah.
boyfriend,
Supporting
and he
her.
was catching so many like
It's
sideways
crazy.
comments, and I was like, why are we celebrating that he's there supporting his girlfriend? And you ain't not in their relationship, so you ain't got to. Why do you have an opinion on it? First of all,
I
that
mean,
man
because we
was
really,
there.
because
Oh
we
my
really believe
God, I
that
was.
he's supporting her. He loves her. Just like it's beautiful to see ASAP Rocky standing behind Rihanna. People have been ragging him like, look what she's done to him.
Um,
I'm like, this is crazy. But when you have been told that a man should be dominating everything, you can't even accept the fact that some of us can actually be sensitive and loving and have no problem supporting our women. I mean, Barack had his turn. He's like, go, Michelle, I support you. What's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with that?
Man, and ASAP Rocky, I was just looking at them, and they seem like they're because I was watching Chris Brown, and Jonah was telling me something about Amina and Chris Brown that I forgot to ask her about on Friday. But I was like, I'm happy. She seems like she's so happy.
She
They
is.
they are having a ball and a blast, obviously, as they are on their third child now. Like they are enjoying the hell out of each other. Isn't that what you want? Or are people so dissatisfied with their own lives that
Yes.
they have to have something negative? It's like the voting thing. What are you for?
What
If
are you
all you
for?
are is sitting here mad at everybody who's happy, that means you're probably not very happy. So what are you doing for your own happiness? What are you
I'm
working towards on yourself to have joy in your life? What are you doing?
I mean, when I see people in the business of Steph and Ayesha Curry, when they're worried about Megan Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson, I'm like, you know what? Mind your business, mind your business, mind your business, and let's just be happy that Megan has someone who's not trying to shoot her in the feet. Period. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? How about that?
yes.
You know
How
what I
about
mean?
that?
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will